Imagine someone placing two objects on a table. On one side, a set of keys to a beautiful family home. On the other, a gemstone no larger than your thumbnail. Now here's the question, which one would you choose? For almost everyone, the answer seems obvious. A house gives you shelter. It holds memories. It's where families grow, children laugh, and holidays are celebrated. It feels real, solid, dependable, and valuable. A tiny stone? How could something so small ever compete with that? But what if I told you that some gemstones have sold for enough money to buy not just one house, not two, but entire neighborhoods? It sounds impossible, yet it has happened. So let me ask you something. If someone handed you a gemstone worth $1 million today, what would be the very first thing you'd do? Would you sell it immediately? Hide it in a safe? Keep it as an investment for your children? Or would you be afraid that simply owning it might change your life forever? Take a moment to think about your answer, because over the next few minutes, we're stepping into a world where value is measured not by size, but by rarity. Where a stone small enough to fit in your pocket can command a price higher than luxury homes, private yachts, and priceless works of art. And the most surprising part? Some of these treasures looked completely ordinary before experts recognized what they truly were. Throughout history, people have mistaken priceless gemstones for common rocks. Some have thrown them away, others use them as paperweights. A few were discovered by accident, picked up during a walk, uncovered while farming, or found in the gravel of a quiet stream. Imagine realizing years later that the dull-looking stone sitting on your shelf could have bought your dream home. How would you feel? Excited? Speechless? Or just a little frustrated? It raises another fascinating question. How do we decide what something is worth? Is it the size, its beauty, or simply what someone is willing to pay? A house is built from wood, steel, glass, and concrete. A gemstone is only a crystal. Yet in the world's most exclusive auction rooms, that crystal can spark bidding wars among collectors who see something far beyond its appearance. Why? Because true rarity cannot be manufactured. You can build another house, you can design a taller skyscraper, but you cannot simply create another legendary gemstone that nature spent millions of years producing. That's what makes these stones different. They're more than luxury. They're pieces of Earth's history. They're symbols of prestige. And for many collectors, they're investments expected to outlast generations. Now imagine you're standing in one of those auction rooms. The atmosphere is silent. A gemstone rests beneath a spotlight. The auctioneer begins. $100,000.
At $28
The room
million,
barely
you say
reacts.
29.
$500,000. Several bidders
$30
raise
million
their
with
paddles.
Catherine Beckett at
$1
30.
million. The tension grows. $3 million. Someone across the room nods without hesitation. Then the final bid arrives. The hammer falls. Applause fills the room. In just a few minutes, a gemstone smaller than a grape has sold for more than many people will earn in a lifetime. So here's another question. Would you ever spend millions of dollars on a single gemstone if you could afford it? Or would you rather own a mansion, travel the world, and invest the rest? There isn't a right answer. But there is a reason why some of the world's wealthiest people choose the gemstone. And once you understand that reason, you may never look at these tiny treasures the same way again. Because not all gemstones are created equal. Some are beautiful, some are rare, and a select few have rewritten the record books, shattered auction estimates, and become so valuable that they could purchase homes in some of the world's most expensive cities. The question is, which gemstones are they? That's exactly where our journey begins. Before a gemstone becomes a symbol of wealth, before it appears inside a luxury necklace or behind the glass of an exclusive auction room, it begins as something almost nobody notices, a rough stone, covered in dirt, hidden among thousands of others. And this is where the story becomes fascinating, because the world's most valuable gemstones often do not look valuable at first. Imagine walking along a riverbank and seeing a small, unusual stone among ordinary gravel. Would you stop? Would you pick it up? Or would you walk past never knowing that you had just ignored a fortune? For most people, the answer would be simple. They would walk away. And that is exactly why some of the greatest gemstone discoveries in history happened by accident. A farmer preparing land, a child playing near a stream, a worker searching through ordinary rocks. Moments that seemed completely normal until someone realized they had found something extraordinary. But what separates a common stone from a $1,000,000 gemstone? The answer is rarity. Beauty alone is not enough. The world is filled with beautiful crystals, but only a tiny fraction possess the combination of color, size, quality, and history that makes collectors willing to pay enormous prices. A gemstone becomes valuable when it becomes almost impossible to replace. Think about it this way. If a famous painting is destroyed, no one can create another original. If a historic building disappears, it cannot truly be rebuilt. The same idea applies to exceptional gemstones. Each one has its own story, its own journey, its own identity. And that uniqueness is what attracts the world's most serious collectors. One of the clearest examples is the ruby. For centuries, rubies have been associated with power, passion, and royalty. The finest rubies display a deep, intense red color that has fascinated civilizations for thousands of years. But truly exceptional rubies are incredibly rare. A large ruby with outstanding color and clarity can become more valuable than a diamond of similar size. This surprises many people, because diamonds have dominated the public imagination for generations. But among gemstone experts, rarity often matters more than popularity. A beautiful ruby from a legendary source can become a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and that is why collectors compete so intensely for them. Then there are emeralds, green gemstones that have decorated royal collections and ancient treasures. But finding a flawless emerald is extremely difficult. Many emeralds contain natural internal features known as inclusions. To some people, these may look like imperfections. But to experts, they can tell a story. They reveal that the gemstone formed naturally and traveled through an extraordinary journey before reaching human hands. A perfectly clean emerald may actually be rarer than people realize. And then there are sapphires. Most people imagine sapphires as blue stones, but sapphires exist in many colors, including pink, yellow, and rare varieties that display remarkable optical effects. The most exceptional sapphires can attract collectors from around the world. Some have sold for prices that compete with the world's most luxurious properties. But perhaps the most interesting part of this world is not only the gemstones themselves, it is the people who search for them. Because behind every famous gemstone is a human story. Someone who took a risk, someone who searched when others gave up, someone who looked at an ordinary piece of earth and wondered, what if? That question has changed lives, because a single discovery can completely transform someone's future. But there is another side to the story. Finding a valuable gemstone does not automatically mean becoming wealthy. A rough stone must be identified, evaluated, cut, polished, and brought into a market where trust and reputation matter. A gemstone's journey from the ground to a billionaire's collection can involve miners, traders, gem cutters, laboratories, auction houses, and collectors across the world. Each person plays a role in transforming a hidden crystal into a recognized treasure. And somewhere along that journey, a question always appears. How much is it really worth? Because a gemstone does not have a fixed price like a house or a car. Its value can change depending on who is looking at it. A collector may see a once-in-a-generation masterpiece. A jeweler may see a rare business opportunity. An investor may see future potential. And a family who discovered it may simply see a life-changing moment. So imagine this. You are holding a gemstone in your hand. You know it is rare. You know it could be valuable, but you don't know how valuable. Would you trust the first offer? Would you search for a better buyer? Would you keep it, hoping its value rises in the future? That decision has shaped the fate of many extraordinary gemstones throughout history. And in the next chapter, we will enter the world where these tiny stones create enormous competition, where collectors, investors, and billionaires compete for the rarest gems on Earth, sometimes paying enough money to buy a luxury home with a single stone. Because the question is no longer, can a gemstone buy a house? The real question is, which gemstone is valuable enough to buy an entire future?